Welcome to the Kickstart Your Coaching Edge podcast, where it's all about getting real around all things coaching.
And what we know for sure is that what got you here won't get you there.
You can't see the spinach in your own teeth.
And finally, hang on, because this one's really deep. Once you realize that you are the traffic, everything makes complete and unadulterated sense.
Hey, Kara.
Hey, Jen.
All right, we are in our last episode of Interpersonal Relationships for the month of May. And I have a quiz for you, Karen Sullivan.
Oh, boy. Go.
When you think of interpersonal relationships, and let's don't use me, but not your relationship with me. It could be friends, it could be family, it could be the teams we work with. I'm going to give you 3 subscales, and I want you to EQI, emotional intelligence subscales, and I want you to tell me which one you think is the most important of the 3 when it comes to interpersonal relationships.
Okay.
For you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The first subscale is the subscale of empathy. The second subscale is the subscale of flexibility. And the third subscale is the subscale of impulse control.
I feel like this is a trick question.
It's not, but why? Tell me what you're thinking.
Because every one of those subscales connects with interpersonal relationships in different ways. So, obviously, sometimes with interpersonal relationships, you need to show up with empathy, depending on the circumstances, right? Depending on the person. With flexibility, flexibility is my middle name, and I kid around a lot, just call me freaking Gumby. To show up in interpersonal relationships, there's the need for flexibility. And then if you think about impulse control with flexibility, what that makes me think of is sometimes I can't use my out loud voice with all the people that I perhaps want to use my out loud voice with. So I am going to answer your question with not really an answer, because I think that it depends on the circumstances and it depends on the person. And those are 2 different things, right? So there can be 2 different people that perhaps might have the same set of circumstances, and one might need flexibility and one might need impulse control, or one might need a little bit of empathy and one might need a little bit of a Godsmack.
So without intentionally doing that, because I think it's interesting how you answer that, because we did not obviously plan this ahead. I just said, I know what we're talking about, hit record, go. Is that, Karen, I think you just explained emotional intelligence in the best possible way for anybody to understand. It's not a one size fits all. It is not, just even when you said you might have 2 people with the same situation, but they may need different things. So it's about being able to understand what others need, or what you need, or what the situation needs, and using the intelligence from an emotional way. So whether it's understanding or expressing or using emotions to solve problems, it is true. That was just such a great definition of what true emotional intelligence is.
And, it's funny because it almost makes me think of, like you were just saying, right? There is no one size fits all when it comes to emotional intelligence, right? It doesn't matter with people, it doesn't matter with teams, it doesn't matter with organizations. When we show up and we work with different people, and we work with different teams, and we work with different organizations, like, what does that team need, right? What does that organization need? What does that individual need? And based on what's going on, and obviously we're going to provide services to whatever it is that we're there for, but how is it that we're going to show up in that moment? And it's kind of funny because emotional intelligence, right, is about managing your own emotions, understanding your own emotions, but it's also about the mindfulness piece of being able to think about how it all connects, not just emotional intelligence, right? Emotional intelligence is so much bigger than 15 subscales that we can sit here and read to you. Emotional intelligence is all about the connection of it, but how is it really getting in your head? How are you paying attention to whatever it is that's happening for you in the moment?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I know it's interesting because different situations are going to call for different things. If my emotions are triggered, right? Like I'm what? And I'm sort of a little wound for sound. Impulse control might be the best thing to hold back from saying something or doing something or, going into the land of regret, as we call it. But on other situations, it might be about being flexible, right? Like how much does this even matter? So even when my emotions are jacked up, even asking myself, will it matter in 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years? That might bring in a little bit more flexibility for me. What are you laughing at?
What the hell is the land of regret?
Well, you don't go there often, but you know how like when you say stuff that you shouldn't, or that your emotions get the best of you and you're like, whoops, the land of the regret is I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. And then you might go make amends. That is the land of regret.
I gotcha. Okay. I hear you.
I love it. So it is true, Karen Sullivan, you can not just pick one for any situation about what's the most important. But part of it is about thinking about a relationship that you have in your life. And in general, with that relationship, do you need more empathy, flexibility, or impulse control? And if you had it, how might that relationship change?
Great question.
Thank you. I think that's a good one that we'll leave people with. And on that note, we'll see you next month for a whole new theme.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Kickstart Your Coaching Edge podcast. Craving more in-depth discussions? Check out the Get Real Inner Circle with our no BS in-crowd of coaches.
Join live coaching discussions, breakdowns of coaching calls, and have some fun while you're at it.
You're going to want to go to kickstartyouredge.com/inner circle. It's time to get real.